I'm home from New York and ready to tell you about the pop-up. And I'm like, baby, I can take card. I would like to do a little giveaway. Nearly everyone would light up when I would say that. Average order value of $19, and introduced herself from YouTube. My name is Chessie. I own ReSpun by Chessie. I take vintage and secondhand fabrics and turn them into cute accessories. If you didn't watch my last video, everything that I sewed for my pop-up and traveling for an out-of-state pop-up, definitely go ahead and catch up on that before you watch this video. In this video, I'm going to be sharing all of the details about how the pop-up went, what I ended up selling, how much I made. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. My sister lives in New York. She's a baker and she ran the idea of doing a little sister pop-up to the owner of Larry's, and he was super into the idea. So for the past few weeks, I have been prepping for this pop-up. This was my second ever pop-up. I talked a little bit more about my first pop-up experience in my last video. In my last video, I basically packed up this packing cube full of the things that I would need for the pop-up. So basically like my inventory, and then I also made little frames for the display. I packed some brown bags in case anybody wanted them. I also brought my iPad and my chip reader as well. Sunday morning, I just kind of made sure that I had everything. I made my listings in Shopify to make it just easier on myself. I made things like pot holders and hot pads that aren't usually on my website. I just went ahead and made one listing for pretty much everything that I was selling, updated the inventory for that one listing, and whenever somebody would check out, I would just tap what they bought and they would check out. I was clipping my little tags to the merchandise, and then around 11:15 for our 12 p.m. pop-up, we left to go to Larry's. I got there and I was a little bit discouraged. We had walked through Larry's Friday morning and talked a little bit about where I would be set up. There's like a small kind of like bar seating area against a window that I had intentions of setting up there. And when we arrived, there were people sitting there. And obviously this wasn't like your regular vendor pop-up event with tables and tents. This was somebody's cafe that I was just going to have to find space and set up that way. Luckily, the owner's partner was there and she was one of the people sitting at the bar area, so she kind of cleaned up her stuff and helped me set up a little area there. So my sister had also purchased a cork board recently, and I used that as part of my display. Just used push pins and hung up all of my wristlet keychains there, and that ended up working out really well. And then I used another chair to set up kind of my checkout area with my iPad and my chip reader. And as the last person at the bar stood up and left, I took over the whole bar area for all of my stuff. So originally I was a little bit discouraged about this space and just how much stuff I had, but I made it work. It honestly was more of a fun challenge than anything else, and I felt like the whole time I did a really good job at making sure that my merchandise was displayed well and visible for people. I felt badly because there were times where the cafe got so busy and I was taking up a lot of space that people would usually sit and like drink their coffee, but honestly I felt like nobody was really bothered by it. So after the little hiccup of being discouraged and worrying I wasn't going to have enough space, it ended up being perfectly fine. The only thing I wish I had done differently was brought a frame that had more of just my branding on it. So like a link to my website, a link to my Instagram and my TikTok. I wish I had done that because I don't feel like I made any repeat customers on Sunday, but the experience overall, I wouldn't honestly change any of it. It was really, really awesome. So at first it was a little bit slow. Actually, one of my coasters was the first to sell. I don't have any coasters to show you because they all sold, but I sold 5 coasters. The first coaster to go was the one with cats on it. It definitely made me wish that I had made more coasters, but it was an item I really wasn't too sure about it. They were $12 too, so one of the cheaper items that I brought. I don't know if that was a factor in why they sold so fast. What was a really awesome experience about this pop-up is that people, I felt overall, were really interested in speaking to me about my product. My experience with my last pop-up, it was almost like people would avoid your gaze. And that's definitely something that I've heard a lot of other vendors experience. It's just people not wanting to, I guess, like feel pressured into buying something, or just kind of like wanting to quickly look and carry on and not get caught up in a conversation. I definitely felt like the people coming into the cafe, seeing my stuff, walking over to me, they wanted to hear more about what I was doing, and that felt so good. What I especially loved is when I gave them my spiel, basically what I said in the beginning of the video. Hi, how are you? This is ReSpun. I take vintage and secondhand fabrics and make them into cute accessories. And I would kind of gesture to the keychains and the zipper pouches, and they were pretty into it. But then I would say, for this pop-up specifically though, I decided to make home good items, and then I would gesture to the pot holders and the coasters and the hot pads, and nearly everyone would light up when I would say that, which was really validating and definitely a really interesting perspective for me, because that isn't something that I sell typically on ReSpun. And that was definitely really interesting feedback that I kind of picked up on. And that kind of makes sense because zipper pouches and wristlets are cute, like they're cute accessories. I don't want to say that they're not useful, because there's definitely uses for them. A zipper pouch is a zipper pouch and you can use it to carry things, and a wristlet keychain, you can use it to make your keys and carrying your keys more convenient. But a hot pad and a pot holder, these are items that you would use every single day for a very important purpose of like not burning your hand when you're cooking and not damaging your counters when you're setting a hot pot on them. So that was just really, really interesting feedback. Just to remind you, I made 10 pot holders and 8 hot pads, and I only had 1 left of each. So these, in my opinion, sold pretty well. I obviously would have loved to sell out completely of them, but truly only having 1 left of each, I felt so good about that. I felt so good about the fact that so many people found items that they wanted to take home with them. That was just so, so cool to me. Another interesting observation that I had during my pop-up was when I would share with people that I used vintage and secondhand fabrics, they would definitely get excited about that and were definitely more drawn to the brand after knowing that. Whereas I felt like the first pop-up that I did it in one of our like rural towns, rural counties in the area. And I felt like whenever I would share that with people that I took vintage and secondhand fabrics and sewed with them, they almost looked a little disgusted. And that's not even me exaggerating. I quite literally remember a couple of their faces when I shared that with them, and it was definitely like a slight look of disgust. So that was definitely an interesting observation for me that I think just has so much to do with culture and just like different groups of people. I definitely feel like my products resonated with the audience in Brooklyn a lot more than what I would see in my local areas. I definitely want to get out there more in Charlotte and hopefully find my audience here. I also am so aware that I know I can find my audience online, and I feel like I'm moving every day toward that. But I do think it would be very cool to kind of find my local audience. I was looking last night at some vendor markets coming up, and none of them really seemed like something that I would fit into. But I definitely feel like my products and my brand mission were really appreciated in Brooklyn, which was just a really cool experience. So I had 24 orders, average order value of $19, and I made $456 total. That was with me selling 5 coasters, 7 hot pads, 9 pot holders, 10 mini keychains, 2 zipper pouches, and I sold 1 wristlet keychain. That was also really good for me to see. A lot more people gravitated toward the mini keychains than the wristlet keychains, and I'm definitely going to be taking a mental note of that. One of the absolute best parts about the pop-up though was one of my subscribers came. Lori commented on my last video and said that she was going to try and come, and I was so excited about the idea of a subscriber potentially coming to the pop-up. But you know, I totally would have understood if nobody from my YouTube channel would have come. Allie, my sister, has a huge community in Brooklyn, and pretty much all day the cafe was so busy. But about midway through, my fiance Justin, he texted me and asked if the subscriber ended up coming, and I was like, no, she probably won't come, like it's not a big deal. But then I saw this woman, she went up to the counter, she got a little drink, and then she walked over to me and introduced herself from YouTube, and I almost cried. I felt myself kind of getting a little bit teary-eyed, and it just being such a surreal moment of like, wow, like the connections that you can make from online to the real world is just so incredible, or it can be so incredible. And Lori was so nice. She was so friendly and so thoughtful. She bought a hot pad and a zipper pouch, and I made sure that she went home with 2 mini keychains, one for her and one for her sister. And it was just so special meeting her. I asked if she would take a picture with me because I just could not wait to tell Justin that she actually showed, and I definitely wanted one for like my own memory of the day, and that just being such a special part of the day. And yeah, she was just so lovely. She ended up sending me a really sweet and special email afterwards, and that was just my absolute favorite part of the whole day. So overall, the pop-up was very successful in my opinion. I felt like not only did I get really good sales, I also got a lot of really good feedback and observations. I think experiences like this are so important and definitely a huge factor in my growth and just shaping my brand for the future. Only thing I would change about the pop-up would be what I said in the beginning, just wishing that I had something somewhere with my website information and my socials, because I definitely missed the mark on this being an opportunity for me to have exposure. I feel like the pop-up was great for sales and great experience for me, but it was not good for brand exposure because I didn't have like a QR code to the website or any of my socials put anywhere, and I do regret a little bit not doing that. But at the end of the day, I think all experiences are good and beneficial experiences, and everything is a lesson learned, so that will definitely be more of a priority of mine next time. Everything else went super smoothly though. I felt really confident about my brand and about the products that I was selling there. I loved how professional I felt with my card reader. A lot of people were like, do you take Venmo? Do you take cash? And I'm like, baby, I can take card. I have a chip reader. So I felt really good about that. Overall, I felt like the pop-up was a super success, but really what had me buzzing was that Lori showed up. And that was just so special to me and a memory that I will definitely cherish. I did say in my last video, anything that I didn't sell, I would just list on ReSpun. My first pop-up, I barely sold anything. So I had a ton of leftover merchandise that I got up on ReSpun and I was able to sell there. So I kind of had intentions of doing that this time, but because I just have one of each left, I would like to do a little giveaway. So I am going to be giving away 1 hot pad and 1 pot holder. I'm going to have these go to 2 separate people so that there's more of a chance of you winning. All you need to do is make sure that you're subscribed to my channel, like this video, and leave a comment. Let me know which one you would prefer, the hot pad or the pot holder. This will only be open to the US. This year, I really want to figure out international shipping, but that is just not something that I'm currently doing. So if you live in the US, you're subscribed, like this video, leave me a comment, let me know which one you would prefer. Bonus points if you follow me on Instagram. I'll leave all of the giveaway information in the description, but it'll be pretty easy. If you do follow ReSpun by Chessie on Instagram, it would be a lot easier for me to contact you if you did win. So I'll say another thing is just to make sure that you leave your Instagram handle in your comment as well. If you have any questions about the pop-up, anything that I didn't touch on in today's video, I would be happy to answer them in the comments down below. Otherwise, that is going to be it for me today. I am so happy to be back with my puppies. They have just been sleeping in my lap the whole time. But yeah, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you're new to my channel, I've been posting a lot of sewing vlogs, so definitely catch up on those. But if you aren't already subscribed, definitely go ahead and do so, and hopefully I will see you next time.